Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing Sunday. It is Sunday, August 23rd. So we are coming up on new highs for the market. Post-market, we were breaking new highs. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about it. I did do a little bit of research on Gann studies as well, which is interesting. I definitely want to read more. Yes, that scientist, you are the first one today. So I was a little bit late today. Do you notice anything different about me, bat scientist? Anything at all? See if you can pick what the difference is. Good afternoon, Gann. All right, so let's go ahead and look over at, hey Terry, welcome. Let's go ahead and look over at the SPY. So this was our upward channel that we had back from September of 2019 up until the top. And if we measure the run that we had there too, yes, bat scientist, you noticed. I went with a little bit of a difference. Yeah, Stephanie, what do you guys think? You guys like it? It's starting to feel like fall up here, back to school. My eldest is going to school this week. So up for some changes and some things new and different and awesome. Couple of videos that should be coming out that you guys should really like. All right, so from our bottom back September 2019 until February of 2020, we basically had 20 weeks. Good afternoon, Corey. So we had 20 weeks there. So if we go forward and we do our measurement, we go from March here. Right now we are at 21 bars. So Gann, thank you, Terry. Gann says, really things happen in patterns. And many times you will see a bottom to a top that will happen in a set number of rhythms, right? So it'll be like 13 weeks, 26 weeks. Yeah, Apple too. Apple really pulled up the market a lot. And there's a lot of short squeezing that is happening in the market. So let's leave that over here. So right now we're up here for the end of last week. So we had 21 weeks where we have been surging up. In the past, it was 21. Now, I am a baby in studying Gann. I'm just dipping my toe into that knowledge. So I will totally give you that disclaimer that it is totally brand new to me. But it does really interest me. So let's see, no, I want to go ahead and get rid of this right here. Yeah, we'll move that circle. So looking at it, we've had this 21-week run up. We just exceeded new highs. Now are we going to come up and test this up here at 345, which was the high right here, pretty much where we found support right here, and then we're going to pull back. Hey, Asif. Asif, I have an email coming to you about your question about that video, so you're going to really like it. All right? That's awesome, Corey. I'm really happy for you. That's great. I love to hear when people are prosperous. It's very nice. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the SPY. Yeah, back to school, Daniel. And Apple. That's true. You know what? Subliminally, maybe that's why I chose it. All right, so going forward into Monday, we would say really, I want to see it break 339.80. Go ahead and give it that round dollar mark. Now, it might have that move early, but we had a lot of volume over the past week in the dark pool. You guys know I study the dark pools. If you want to learn more about it, come to thedarkpools.com. I do teach in the training pit. And here was a resistance line that we've been struggling to break above, going above it, coming back down, sort of dancing around it. And right now, we are still there. If we go back to February of 2020, you'll see that once we broke below this line, we really tanked to the downside. So I don't know if there's any coincidence with this big giant volume bar right here. It was hitting the moving averages. You guys know I like this as my threshold right here. 425 EMA on the 45-minute chart. So would see, hey, if we really pull down below 333 right now, watch out, potential move to the downside on the indexes. Let's also go look at the Russell, right? So many times I've been learning so much about the market in the past 5 years. So here we have the Russell. It bounced off of that 425 back here, surged up, went from 144 to 159, 15 points, or roughly 11%. And now it's pulling back down. It has tested it again. Are we going to break below that 153.73 again? It was breaking there on Friday when I did do my video. So looking to see, I have that price point alert set. Is this going to continue down? Something I recently learned is many times when money comes out of the Russell, it will go into tech stocks, into Qs. So as we see, let me put them side by side for you. So we have IWM, and we're going to make this a 45-minute chart, and we'll get rid of those lines for you to make it easier to see. All right. So as we really have pulled back, right? We pulled back. This was the 11th of August. What happened with the Qs, right? They almost are trading inversely. When we start to see a sell-off here, now we start to see a surge in the Qs. So if we have IWM or the Russell curling down and the Qs curling down and the SPY and the DIA, then that's really going to indicate a further move to the downside. Right, so DIA has been in this slow downtrend, right? Right here. We just broke above it right there. We put the SPY up. We've been surging up for the past 21 weeks. And now it seems like we've hit a little bit of resistance here. Are we going to continue and surge through? I know there's many analysts, CMTs that are saying, hey, this could be it. We really need to go ahead and see if we're going to go ahead and continue to the upside. It seems like it's maybe, it hasn't continued down, right? It just set a new high, 339. Yeah, I'll add that on, Samuel, for today. So looking at it, we've got the Russell, the weakest, right? We have the DIA somewhat in that downward trend. The Qs are still really strong from the 11th on over. So it's pretty cool. Just learned that. That was actually from Josh at Flow Trade and Dan at Flow Trade. They helped me see that and enlighten me on that. Gave me a cool new website. I'll share it in the description down below to check out, to see. It's pretty cool. And then I also got curious about, hey, let's look at Gann. This is Gann's financial table of different times. He studied astrology and numerology and patterns in the stock market, and was pretty efficient in his studies, and made 50 million based on this theory back in the early 1900s. So it's pretty cool to me to start to study it. And he says, hey, you know, it's like 18.6 years for the lunar cycle of the stock market. So I started getting curious, and then I started looking at the inverted yield curve, and I'd heard it over the news, but I never really understood why. And now I see it was part of what they have been studying. And in particular, this is from Samuel Benner. I guess this is Silver Frank's blog, Profits of Wall Street. And he's talking about Samuel Benner and the different cycles and the periods of when to make money. So it's not just Gann that studied this, other people as well. And then looking back at the inverted yield curves, and says, note that next row J predicts a major panic or crash, 4 years of falling prices. Well, then I started, well, let me Google the inverted yield curve. So we're up here, and 2000, we had the dot-com bubble, and then it pulled back, and it came back to overvalued right here. And now we're slowly creeping back up. January 31st, 2020, we were at 1.79, and then it went, I'm assuming the higher that it goes, the more undervalued a stock, right? So we went to 192, and then let's go to 10 years, see if we can make it, zoom it in a little bit more. So we had it back February 29th of 2020, and it pulled back. It didn't really correct all that much, right? So here it's saying that when it's up here, stocks are in a bubble. So looking at that, oh, it's cool. We can do it back here too. So let's take it back to 2000. And we can see it went from dot-com bubble for Saturday, September 30th to 2000, all the way to March 31st of 2009. So that was really almost a 9-year downturn, right? And then here we go back up, and we've had a little minor blip. Did we have that? It seems like it somewhat happened right here, where it went from July 31st, 1998 to October 31st of 1998, much like we had this little move right here. And then it continued from October up, so it continued another 2 years. So even though we're in a bubble, we could potentially see this move to the upside for the next 2 years, which would actually kind of coincide with Gann's chart right here. So you can look into it more. I'm definitely going to study it more, but I wanted to share it with you guys because it's pretty cool. And I will add Naked. So we're going to look at FireEye, Naked, and NVIDIA. So let's go ahead and pull over my chart for what I have on my list, and we'll put it on here. So here we've got, we've got my watch list for the upcoming week going into Monday. So Baba, BJ's, and Deere, they all had earnings, and they really rocked it. Lowe also had earnings, and gas. So gas is going to be in the natural gas and oil field. So I have gas and I have OGS. Somebody brought me OGS and OGE. I think it was Thursday or Friday. And so I wanted to show you the commodity clock for natural gas futures. So for natural gas futures, it seems like roughly over the past 20 years, it hits a low point end of July. And then it consolidates all of August. Right now we're roughly the 3rd week of August, so maybe we're right here. And then it pulls back a little bit in September. So maybe the 1st week of September, it finds that bottom of the consolidation, and then it just shoots up September, October, November, December for that 1st week of December. So looking at that, when we have the charts, we'll look at the charts for gas and OGS. Those might be two longer term potential swings that have some good potential movement to it, and OGE. So I appreciate whoever brought those to me on Thursday or Friday. I don't remember which day it was. But let's go ahead and build the watch list over here. And we will bring your stocks that you guys want to talk about as well. I'm just going to move that's not it. I want this here. I'm going to move it over here, and we will quickly put it on the list, Sunday list. And we'll delete everything. Welcome, Julio. Julio, did you bring me AGS this week? All right, so we've got Baba, BJ, DE, Gas, Lowe, AAL, APEI, Lift, TCO, and AVYA. And then for swings, I actually have GBTC on here. Potential Bitcoin trade, if you don't trade the actual Bitcoin. Platinum too. I wanted to show you guys platinum futures. I think it's at the top right here. Let's see if we can pull it up here. Yeah, oil for sure. They're definitely going to have a production issue going on with the, what's it called, the fracking, I guess is what it's called, for oil. Yeah, I'll add docu. Hold on, I want to show you platinum, guys. So here's platinum. Going into August, we might have a nice little run up here going into the 1st week of September. Then I'll pull back into October and then continue to the upside. All right, and I have platinum on there. So we have FireEye. You guys want to talk about NVIDIA, docu as well, and Naked. All right, so let's go forward. So we already did the SPY Qs. Let's look at Apple. Now, Apple does have the big split coming up. It's owner of record as of, owner of record as of the 24th. So they have a record date, much like an ex-dividend date for receiving the dividend. You have to be owner of record by the 24th in order for you to receive the shares of Apple for the split. Okay, and Microsoft, it's up as well, and you can see we're up here. Really needs to break that 217.60 for it to have big movement, and we really want to watch this because Apple and Microsoft will really go ahead and add a increase or decrease in the market space because of their percentage value in the SPY and the Qs. All right, so let's go into APAI. Potential long here. It did gap up and it's got nice potential. It had higher than normal volume end of day. That's really the reason. You guys know I track volume. We've hit this support level and they like to do that gap fake out trade, so maybe that's what they're doing, but they might take it down here. They might take it down to that nice average, my 425, down here at 31.70. If it were to break that, I think it would be a potential short. But let's go ahead and tighten this a little bit. We could have a potential trend move. This is outside of normal business hours, so we'll get rid of that. So we're right here along this trend line. It's fairly sharp. When we look at it, it does have 2.6 billion, no, excuse me, 14.7 million. And this was on the short side. Why am I looking at this one? Excuse me, guys, but this is my second short on my list. So we'll do it now, and then we won't do that later. So scratch that. It could have a big move to the upside, but we could have that gap to fill down here. So let's put APEI, but that's why it's important to map out the trades on either direction. All right, let's go to BABA. Earnings. Yeah, let's look at the earnings. BABA had earnings, ran up, nice move to the upside. Really looks like it should test that 267.50. And then we did break a downward trend line and we had big volume. So I would look for that to hold at 264 for support for BABA and resistance up at 267.50. And it has 2.61 billion in a float and 46% short volume. Okay, so Julio, the SPY and the QQQ could be misleading if you look at where they put the majority of the weight: Apple, Microsoft, Google, and Facebook. If any of these tickers has a great day. It's very true, Julio. Very true. But there's about the top 10 holdings that are 30% of the SPY ETF. If we go over here, and right here. So we've got Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Johnson & Johnson, Berkshire Hathaway, Visa, and Procter & Gamble. Those top holdings right there are roughly 30% of the SPY ETF. So when those are all green, the SPY ETF tends to be green. It doesn't matter what the rest of it is doing. It's that is so strong. So you can actually see it was pretty mixed on Friday. We had a lot that did pull back and were red on the day, but those were so strong. Yeah, I'll add a GNRC and run to the bottom, and we'll pull those up. All right, so we've got BABA there. And let me go back to the Sunday list. Oops, I added the wrong place. GNC and run. GNC. Okay. I already had that one. Okay, so let's go to BJ's. All right, so BJ's had earnings as well. Move to the upside. Let's remove any drawings that I have on it. And we'll add some new ones. All right, so I would like to see it break out above 46.50. Or I want to see it hold support of 45. I'm going to pull it up tighter. Right up here. I want to see it hold 45.80 as our support level. All right, so 45.80 and 46.50. It does have 136 million in the float and 36% short volume on Friday. All right, so John Deere. So John Deere, a massive green day for John Deere, really performed nicely after earnings. The market really enjoyed the earnings report. I would put 198 as support and 202, we'll bring it on up. Make sure that those sellers that were right there, 203, do not take it over. So 198 and 203, as it is a bigger stock. We had lots of volume here on Friday, bit of a pullback going into the end of the day. And gas, so Stealth Gas, this one, remember, I was looking at that chart. It had earnings, nice performance. It has a little bit of a gap to the downside to 267, but overall, this does have 312 million in the float. We could see that this might have more volume coming into it with people liking the earnings report. I would put our support down here. I'd bring it back a little bit more, 275 right here. And I would say for a breakout, I want to go ahead and I want to see it break out above $3 up here. It should have that volatility it can to move up above $3 fairly strong if that was a lot of the buying volume on Friday. All right, let's go to our daily chart so you can see it as well. So it did have that spike down. So if it cannot break that 425 on the daily chart, not really interested. You guys saw it happen on FedEx, where it was lingering there for 11 days and then it finally moved to the upside. So keep it on watch, 275 and $3. It does have 39.2 million in the float, so it might have been one of those low float momentum plays that some traders do trade. And you can see some days it will go ahead and have runs up. This day it went from 322. Let's look back at the timing of that. So August, where did we go from the last year from the earnings report? Well, it seemed like it downward trended until about September, much like the gas chart overall, and then it went from 293 up to 380. So, and that coincides with the natural gas futures. So it might be something to look at potentially also in first week of September. All right, the last potential long is Lowe's. So Lowe's had great earnings, right? The market loved it. Think about it. All these people are at home. Hey, I want to change this. I want to do that to the house, right? What are a lot of people doing? They're entertaining themselves with home renovation. So would like to go ahead and see it hold 161. And I'm putting it up here at 163. You can see it came and it tested it on, this is Thursday pre-market, right? No, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday pre-market. And we could see it break up above there, maybe go on up to 164.50 area. If it can break 165, then we've got clear skies up above. Okay, I'll add CRM. You're bringing a lot to the table today, Julio. Oh, they have earnings reports. That's just, haha. Okay, so 161 for support for Lowe's and 163 for resistance. All right, let's look at American Airlines for potential short. Right, so this was on my watch list on Friday, if any of you subscribed to it, and it performed nicely to the downside. So AAL right here, starting to really roll down. When we look at it on our daily, you can see we could have a bigger move to the downside. We've got a bit of traffic with all of our moving averages. If we can break below that 1216 level and then test, really break down through 12, we could have a nice move on down to the $11 area and so on. So 1210 for support and 1230 for resistance. All right, Lyft as well, potential. Now we had earnings, it pulled back, massive volume day right here, and it's still above the moving averages. I'm just going to pull this down and then we'll go into the 15-minute chart. So you can see it really was a pretty tight day on Friday after a crazy volume day. So we had this right here. Maybe that was a late report of a trade for buying, or maybe they want to take it down there. No idea, right? So I would say if it breaks above 29.50, maybe potential move to the upside. If it breaks below 26, actually, I'm going to bring it back down here to this 200 simple moving average on the 15-minute chart. If it breaks below 28.40, potential trade to the downside. Archie, I'll add home on for you too. Okay, so let's go into TCO. Now, Lyft has 211 million in the float. So TCO for potential short, let me just delete any drawings if I have any on here. All right, so we've got to the potential upside. I would look at a break of $37 right there, and to the downside, I would look for support of 36.20 to be broken right here. Bring it up just a little bit. Every time they took it down, the buyers took it up, and 37 with that round dollar location on watch. So 36.22 and 37. All right. Look at it on our daily chart. You can see, ooh, look at that. Not much support below there, right? Maybe a little bit to right here at 35.60. After that, we've got 34.50, and then after that, massive selling day right here. I have no idea what happened, but looking at it, could be some amazing profits to the downside potentially. All right, last one on my potential short list. AVYA, same scenario. We have this resistance that was set up there. We're starting to curl over on the moving averages, so I'm going to tighten it in to that candlestick right there. And maybe it's going to be that gap fake out trade, but if it does curl over, we start to have massive volume to the downside. This had higher volume this day, a pretty bearish pattern right here, 3 dojis in a row, and then it's selling off. So right now, looks like the sellers are winning. Could we fill it back down here, test the bottom of this candlestick, potentially down at 15.40, then down here to 15.11. If we break 15, we'll have a likely move down to 14 to fill the gap to the downside. Okay, so support of 15.80 and resistance of 16.20. Now my potential longs, right? We've got Bitcoin going on. We had this downward trend break. So I'm going to remove this trend line right here, and we'll draw another one for the upward trend that we've had going on. Right? So it could come and even test down here to that 1340 level. Let's go ahead. Oh, well, it could test to that 1340 level. Here's the thing. I'm starting to hear about Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, California blocked the operations Archie for Lyft and Uber. However, they are still delivering food. So they could still have, they could be repurposing themselves to become a delivery company instead of just a passenger moving company as well. Okay, I'm going to add DKS and BIG onto our list right here. So hearing Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad author, saying, hey, you guys should invest in Bitcoin, could drive the Bitcoin motion based on followers that are saying, hey, I need to get in. Bitcoin only has 11 million shares in the float of the overall Bitcoin, and that could be even lower. I think it's actually 13 million, but 11 million are currently active. So it could really drive the price up pretty quickly, more so than Litecoin or Ethereum or Ripple, for that simple fact that the float is lower. So that one is definitely on watch. You guys heard me talk about OGS with gas being a natural gas stock, and if we look at it, even all the way from back here, right, we've had this area where it's just sort of consolidated. If it can go ahead and break above 79.27, 79.30, I'm going to go ahead and add an alert there, crossing up. I want to see it break out of this range to the upside with some volume. So we had some volume here. Hey, might even put an alert right here if we can break above 76.40. Then maybe dip a little bit of a position, you know, maybe 25%. confirmation, add to it once it goes ahead and it breaks that resistance level right here and moves on up, because we might have a big move. Let's go back and look in time as well and see what happened. End of August, all right, this week in August, yep, went ahead and had a nice little run, August to the midweek, first week of September, then it pulled back. So September 6th might even be a better entry coming that end of that first week, and then a nice run up into third week of September, potentially. Just looking at how history repeats itself and how this stock acts. It went sideways again for that pretty much that same time frame, from right here, June, all the way over. And then once it broke it, yep, nice move up, went from 92 up to 96, so $4 move. So we might have that nice move again, up to $84 right here. If it breaks to the upside, then really we'll just look at the resistance points, $90, $92, and so on, potentially on up. All right, you guys brought a lot. I also have platinum on there. I did show you the platinum futures. So potentially a little run up and then maybe a downward turn and then continuation to the upside. All right, FireEye. Let's look at FireEye. So FireEye, you guys see it? Look, what's it hitting? It hit the 425 right here. So I would look, it does have a nice little consolidation going on. You can see it has this area consolidation or distribution that's happening that was a resistance or a support that turned into a resistance right here, and it was also support back in February of 2020. So are we going to have all of this area that's going to break out to the upside? It could potentially happen. I would look for a break of the upside of above 1492 or a breakdown of 1440, move down to 1360, and then potentially on down to these 1350 area. All right, NVIDIA. NVIDIA had a crazy surge as well. Now, you see how NVIDIA, every time it comes up, it does pull back. So if it were to pull back, it could pull back 466, nice $40 move to the downside. It likes to respect that 15 EMA right here. You see, bounced off of it here, bounced off of it here, bounced off of it here, bounced off of it here. So this might have a $40 pullback and then a move to the upside. Great results on the chart after earnings. I don't really care what the earnings report is. It had a breakout right here. Let's go and look really quickly and see. I'll just pull it up here, here. Let's see what NVIDIA's short volume was. Were a lot of people buying it, or was there confidence and they were, yeah, so it was 38% short volume, so 62% long volume for NVIDIA. So right now people are looking fairly strong at it. All right, DOCU. DOCU looks like it might be a potential head and shoulder setting up. Do you guys see that? Who brought DOCU? Samuel. Do you see that, Samuel? We've got this, maybe, as a shoulder, a head, and then potentially a shoulder, right? So if we go ahead and we break right here, let's make that yellow to go along with that yellow theme. If we break 190, 191, might have a move to the downside. Okay, so Stephanie is saying Uber and Lyft are actually still operating in California. They delayed the final decision with the state of California, which may go through all of the COVID time. So, Stephanie, just a quick question. Are you saying that California has the ultimate decision for Uber and Lyft in deciding as to whether they're going to operate? All right. So keeping that on watch, hey, if it goes ahead and it can hold this 205 for DocuSign, might be a nice one to the upside. If we go ahead and we break above 214, you know, it might have a nice potential move. But I would go ahead and tighten it and say, hey, we might have a move 205 down to that 193, that 50 simple moving average, and then a move to the upside right there. Julio, you're doing lots of research. Thanks for the contributions. All right. We also have Naked right here. Now, who brought Naked to us? Who is it? Chile. Okay, so Chile, does this look bullish to you? I see a whole lot of this. Ooh. Ooh. Right? It's not looking that bullish to me by any stretch. It's looking more bearish. And this one I know has had lots, it's had a couple reverse splits. Some people are talking about buying it out, but it looks like if we break this area right here, 29 cents, I don't usually trade sub-penny stocks, so 29 cents to the downside, it could have a massive move to the downside there, and then if it could potentially break that 36, maybe it will go on up. But you have all the people that bought it potentially up here at 45 cents that are looking to sell it. So it might have a lot of sellers that are going to keep it and hold it down. Yeah, Samuel, you know what? That's the beauty of the market. Samuel is saying, Doc, you might go to 2020. It definitely could. There's nothing to say that this will not be a bullish move. It just looks like when you pull it back on that daily chart, it might be setting up for a bearish move as well, right? We had more volume. It started to curl. If we start to really break down over those, yes, Brandon, those bag holders on Naked could cause issues. So it could definitely go up to 2020. It could hit that next $5 move to the upside. It's just my eye sees maybe a bearish setup for a bit of profit taking going into earnings. All right. So we went over Naked. Let's go over GNRC. So GNRC, as opposed to Naked, this looks nice and bullish. It is following those trends right on up with the moving averages. Let's pull it back and see this is hitting all-time highs, so 52-week breakouts, which are pretty nice, right? And it might have a bit more of a pullback to the moving averages, but I would look for that high to be broken, 188.60. Look for that to be broken to the upside. Volume hasn't really been dropping off too much as it's been going up. People have good confidence in it. It looks like, and right here, it looks like they were selling. This was acting as a resistance point, so I would look for 182.45 to hold as support right there for GNRC. All right. And let's look at Run. So Run has earnings coming up, or no, Julio's saying nice bull flag potential setup here for Run. So it has this resistance, which it just doesn't look like it can break, roughly 48.13. And when we go ahead and we draw trend line right here, looks like it tested the downward trend right there, and now it's continuing up. Look at how cool this is. This trend line also held from back here, and then it came back to it and it tested it again. So would see, all right, are we able to break that 48.30 area with some volume to really take it to the upside? Okay, cool. Thank you, Stephanie. So Stephanie's saying they just put a moratorium on the final decision temporarily for Uber and Lyft. All right, so let's look at CRM. Salesforce. So Salesforce has earnings coming up. If we draw a really quick trend line, so we have this longer term trend line right here that was pretty shallow, and then the run up into earnings much steeper. So if it does break this, break below 205, we might see it pull all the way back down to 196.50 area before it could continue to the upside. We have a bit of a double top right here, so it could have that happen. Higher than normal volume, a bit of sell-off, but we are still above everything else. It came and it found support right here from the top, but just closed below that 208 whole number area. So it would be interesting to see if it's going to break this more extreme upward trend line, run up just before earnings, and pull back to 196. That's going to be that continuation for the trend that it's had going pretty much since May 1st. It's been respecting that trend line. Even though it goes and it has that overextension, just like right here. So it happened, it went up, boom, it came back, it found that trend line again as support. Then it ran up, boom, came back, found that trend line as support. It ran up again, maybe we will have that pullback. Even if earnings are good, they might have that pullback and then have another move to the upside. All right, ADSK. Wow, a lot of consolidation going on right here. This is what my eye sees right off the bat, right? Up to 251. So are they going to take it? Which way are they going to take it, right? Maybe they're getting ready to go ahead and take some out of their position, or maybe they're getting ready to go ahead and move it to the upside. But I see that as we've been going sideways really ever since about here, June 15th to August 21st. June, July, August, 3 months. Maybe it's ready for this to have a bit of a top and pull back and consolidate back down here at 211. I'm not sure why, Samuel. Maybe it's your internet. Check speed test on Google. All right, so let's look at home. Home is rocking to the upside. Remove. I could have just moved it up, actually. So home has had a 500% move. That's beautiful. All right. So let's go up here and let's see. Oh, I do have some other ones I want to show you guys too, so we'll talk about those as well. All right, so 1950 to the upside, 1960 really, and I would look at that support of $18. If it does break $18, then move down to 17 for potential test. But look at this amazing move that it's had going into earnings. Did it have this last time? No. Last time it was a downward trend just before earnings and then a nice surge up. But last year, for earnings, they had a positive earnings. So that's nice to see. Maybe we'll have another move up to test the highs back here of roughly $25 or even higher from there. We will see. It does look like a nice curve, almost an inverse head and shoulders down here. Over the longer time frame, you can see $5, $1.20, and then that 540 area, and then on up. And we found a bit of resistance up here. Okay, Dick's Sporting Goods. I was just talking to my parents about Dick's Sporting Goods today. Does anybody know if Dick's has, if Dick's has bikes in store to test, that you could get on them and test and see? I don't know. They don't have Dick's up here in Canada. So that's a good question for me. But looking at it on our yearly chart for our daily, we have a bit of a downward trend on the daily right here, right? And we're going into earnings. Higher than normal volume was this day right here. And we are above that price right now, so looking fairly bullish. If we can go ahead and break this downward trend and subsequently break above 47.60, we gotta have a nice move to the upside there. Then we'll have a nice test potentially up to that $50 mark and then move on up from there. It does look like a bit of a cup and handle right here. So we had the move above 42 and then a bit more of consolidation with the resistance that we had prior back here to support flip to be resistance. Yeah, I'll look at it, Corey. Okay, I think, okay, we've got big, so big lots, that looks nice and bullish right here. We have this giant bullish candle taking out all the volume except for this selling wick right here, but it took out all this consolidation from the week prior. So it looks pretty nice and bullish. I feel like big is lower float, so let's look at it 2 seconds. Let's go here, here, and let's see if big is low float. I feel like it is. 38.3 million shares. So that's why it can have those quick moves. If it has massive volume behind it, like right here, earnings day, it could have a very quick move. Hey John, good afternoon. Okay, so we've got big, and let's go ahead. I need to add on, you guys wanted to see Lulu, Dollar Tree, HPQ, Dell, T-Doc, You guys brought a lot of good ones to look at today. It's always nice to look at charts and see, you know, other people pick up other things. Ah, good to know. Thanks, Julio. Yeah, because my dad really wants to try out the bike in person, see if it's comfortable for him. As comfortable as the recumbent bikes are, unfortunately doesn't work for him, so he has to have more of an upright one. All right, so Lulu, looking fairly strong going into earnings. Let's go back and look at Lulu for last August earnings report. Okay, so it reported in September, and then it seemed like it had a downward trend. So it built up into earnings as well, and then it surged and pulled back to fill that gap and continued up. So if history repeats itself, then potentially positive move after earnings. Maybe we'll be seeing 400 for it, and then maybe it'll come back and test roughly that 370 area and continue to the upside. Okay, I'll add link as well, John. Okay, and let's look at Dollar Tree. You guys are bringing some great ones. All right, so Dollar Tree has earnings as well. And I would look, you guys can see it had really tough resistance right here, and then it broke up above it, and we hit up here at the 103 mark. No real resistance, but look at this nice gap to the upside that it still has to fill, 106. Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, Julio told me they did too, so I'll let them know. I appreciate your help, guys. All right, so this might have a nice $5 move to the upside before it hits resistance, before earnings. Looking back at earnings last year, had a nice move to the upside. Now, a lot of people, it seems like, are shopping that retail sector is doing really, really well. So keeping that in mind, even when we look at XRT, it keeps surging higher. People are shorting this. It's kind of ridiculous to me that people are continuing to short this. If we can break above 42.60, we could be heading on up. I think I gave it a target of $59 or $60 because of this short volume back here. So it's pretty crazy that people keep jumping in and shorting it. Also, the other one that people are still shorting is iDrive, and this has Tesla in it. And this one is super low float. It is a self-driving car ETF with over 100 stocks in it, and I do have a longer term holding in it. I feel like it's super undervalued in my opinion. Okay, so let's go. We just did, I got off topic. We just did Dollar Tree. Let's go look at HPQ. So HPQ, do you guys see what moving average it hit? Which average did it hit? Yep, the 425. And then it pulled back. Now it found consolidation at the 21. So it would look for it to break this 200 simple moving average. And then it could come on up and test that 1888. Yeah, Julio, it's good. I do not like to trade it over earnings, but potentially before or after. But the IV is just so high for them. All right, and Dell. So Dell, we've had this consolidation right here. Looks like it's had strong resistance right along here. Took it up a bit of a double top, and then we have support, like potentially testing that gap to the downside. If it does break down, it might test that 50 symbol moving average right here at 56. If we break up, we'd look for that test of 62, and then from there, testing up to new highs. Hello, AK, how's it going? All right, so TDOC. TDOC, look at that. I had my trend line there. What did it hit? Went ahead and hit off of that trend line and sold. That's pretty cool to see. You have a trend line set up and it respects it from the past, right? So it looks like we had buyers took it up, sellers brought it right back down. Would look for it to hold support of 219.40. Go ahead and lower this just a little bit down to 219.40. Right there. If it can't keep that as support, then first test 213. If 213 breaks, down to 208 to 209.30. If 209.30 breaks, on down here, potentially down to 193. And LVGO, look at that same double top and it's sellers. It cannot hold above this 144.25. So looking at that, we want to see, hey, if it's going to go to the upside, it needs to break right there, because every time that it's gone there, the sellers have taken it down. All right? And I would like to see the support from this gap be held. Oops. All right, biotech. You know what? I try to stay away from the biotech sector, Frank, and I will tell you, especially with the COVID vaccine stocks. Why? You have 10 different companies that are all competing just in the US for that COVID vaccine. How many will succeed? One. So you have a 90% chance of them failing. So if you tend to be short biased, yeah, you like Stephanie, I like it too, for longer term holding for iDrive. So looking at that, it looks like they're to the downside to me. All right, so Blink. Blink had, I think it had some negative press. It did test the 50 simple moving average. Pull this back down here. And it looks like potentially if it breaks that 750 mark, also this trend line right here, then potential move up. Massive volume right here, and we are below it. So it's bearish at the moment. Would look for testing of that 650 level. If that 650 level breaks, $6, then maybe I'm down to this 510 area. And if that doesn't hold, we'll continue on down the hill. 320, actually, I'd stop it down there, maybe $4. If the $4 can't hold, then down to 324. Planet 13. Oh, Planet 13. Okay, let's look at NVAX. Alright, so NVAX. Now I gotta tell you guys, when a company has an upgrade, many times that can be time to go ahead and take some profits. My dad was in it up here. Oh, I'm gonna hold on to it. JP Morgan says it's going to 220. Well, that's not where it went, was it? Okay, so right here, do you see a bit of a head and shoulders? Shoulder, head, shoulder. If it breaks down below 135, then this could quickly go to 115 and on down. So far, Novavax has not had a winning vaccine come to market. Something to keep in mind. BNTX, I hit the wrong, BNTX, I hit the wrong one. Alright, so this hit the 20 simple moving average, pulled back below the 21 EMA, and has a bit of a gap to fill to the downside. So these to me are looking fairly bearish, Frank. And let's look at Myrna. Like I said, there's one that's going to succeed, so there's a higher likelihood of winning on the short side than to the long side. And then you have other countries as well that are going ahead and competing. So Myrna right now is in a downward trend. Hey, is it going to find support at 64.50? They had their runs up, then the Russian company came out and said, hey, we have this vaccine, we're ready to go ahead and bring it to market. Well, all the other ones started to drop. Right, let's look at PLNHF. So that is going to be a 4-in-1, that is a pink sheet, because it does have 5 letters as well as the F to it, meaning that it is a foreign ticker. So this is on the OTC market and does not have the same reporting requirements as the other US companies. So right now it's still in a downward trend, found support at the 20 simple moving average, right at this resistance point as well. Excuse me, resistance back here, flipped to be support, bounced off of it. So it might have a chance to make up, but I would put an alert and say, hey, if this goes ahead and it breaks above, but right now we're looking at a descending triangle. So until it can prove itself otherwise, this is looking bearish to me. It's below the moving averages. They have not crossed over as of yet, and it had a bit of the same type of pattern right here. Then it found support at 250 and it surged up to that $3 mark, pulled back just a little bit higher, surged up to $4, pulled back. So potentially, if it has a nice upward run, you might see it go to 425, 450 if it can break from here with higher volume. And it does have earnings coming up. Looks like last earnings, it did better than expected for the marketplace. I'm just leery of foreign stocks in general because of reporting facts. When you look at Luckin Coffee, it got delisted because of reporting. There was another one, I think it was Elfin. Same thing. They did not report. You know what, John? Mostly I'm looking at technical analysis. Fundamentals can mean a lot, but technically the algorithms are just looking at technical analysis for stocks. Okay, let's look at MMED. And I have to apologize, my nose is running a little bit. So Mind Medicine. This looks like it doesn't have very much volume throughout the day. And it looks like it's hitting, this one also looks super inexpensive, not one that I would trade. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work for other people, it's just not one that I would trade. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. So it looks like it's got a consolidation area going on right here between 41 cents and 52. It's just sort of bouncing around right there. So is it going to come back down and bounce? That might be an area of entry down here at the 41 cent mark area. And then if it can break above 52, might have a nice move up to 58, and then on up to 63, 67, 68. Oh, thanks, John. Yeah, the people over at Stock Charts are awesome. All right, so Julio's giving us even more to look at. Alta. All right, so Alta looks kind of bearish to me overall. So it came down, set a lower low, lower high, and it's in a bit of a downward trend, right? Let's do a trend line from here, from the highs. And we tested it and pulled back. So keeping that in mind, if we have a bit of a descending triangle as well right here. Ah, thanks, John. So we've got this descending triangle, and it looks like it has been doing this quite often. It comes up, tests this trend, comes down, tests this trend, comes down, tests this trend. So right now the moving averages are in a traffic zone. If it breaks below 204, I think you might have a quick trade down to 191, which has acted as support. If it does break above this downward trend, or 224 at this point, it looks like it could go to the upside. Let me just get rid of this red line right here. Oh yeah, Desert Edge SPY could definitely hit all-time highs. Anytime that you have a market crash, many times you see new highs. Why? The press will go ahead and turn around and say, hey, this market is bullish, it's time to buy into it, you missed out on the last move. Psychologically, to get people to buy millions of shares. And then what happens? The really big guys turn around and they sell millions of shares to all of those buyers, the little guppies, while the big whales of the market are taking their profit and they're ready to take it down. Okay, beyond Steve, let's go ahead and, did I miss something else? Burlington Coat Factory. So Burlington, pull it back here, has a bit of support right here. It was resistance, and now it looks to be support at 190.75. And we have our 200 simple moving average right here at 200. And it has a gap from 195 up to 199. Massive crazy volume this day right here, with a high of 196.50 and a low of 190.33. So we're right in the middle of that. So I would want to see, hey, are we going to break above this volume right here, or are we going to continue to the downside? I'm going to use this candlestick as a benchmark right here. Hey, everything's monetizable. All right, thank you guys for joining me on a Sunday afternoon. And let's look at JWN. All right, I got my little assistant over here. Julio's helping me out, or Julio. I forget which one it is. All right, so we've got JWN. They were talking about going private, I believe. All right, we've got this trend line right here. If we can break that with higher volume, but we've got all of this in the way, right? So we've got a bit more clear trade to the downside, down to 1360. Maybe they will go ahead and buy it all up at earnings and then take all of these shorts out that have been shorting it on the way down. Just potential thought. Let's see what the short volume is for JWN for the past 10 trading days. All right, past 10 trading days, 62%. You can see more people have been shorting this. So if the really big guys see this, hey, really it's been over 60% for the past 9 trading days as we're dropping down. So it could come down as well to this $14 mark and then run to the upside. Wow, you guys keep bringing everything. We're going to be going through the whole stock market today. I'm going to have to cut it off in just about 10 minutes, okay? So we will go through your list. Everything's monetizable. And then after that, I'm going to have to get mommy duties done for today. Yeah, JWN might have a short squeeze for sure. Looking at that short volume and seeing the downward trend. So Beyond has this trend line here. And it's got this area of consolidation between 124 and 127.50. However, every time it's hitting this 21 EMA right here, these green dots, it's selling off. So it would need to break above 128, really above 129 right here. If it can break 129, I think our next test would likely be 133, and then on up to 135. Okay, so let's look at here. Isn't this Turtle Beach? Yeah, Turtle Beach. And this looks like it might have a nice cup and handle. You guys see that? When we have support down at 1684, and it's just sort of coming up. If we can break that $20 mark, because it's that nice round number in people's brains. If you got in at $5, wouldn't you think maybe I'm going to sell it at 20? Right? And it held just above at 1640 right here. So looking at that, we've had upward move, sellers brought it down, found support, bounced up, and it's in a nice bullish motion right at the moment. Would like to see it hold for sure. Aw, thanks everything monetizable. Thanks for your contribution. I appreciate that. Okay, so we go to the upside here. If we can break 20, potentially on up to 21, right up here, test that former high. And again, let's go and look at the short side. You know, the first time somebody contributed like that, I had no idea what it was. I was like, really? That's really, what is that? So thank you, I appreciate that. All right, so it looks like for the past 10 trading days, people are bullish on here. And I believe that it is also a lower float. So let's go here and look and see. I think here is a lower float with something like 18 million, 13 million. So it has that potential to really run big to the upside, like this big day on earnings. And that was earnings and people brought it down. So if it can break above that, then watch out, because it can have a bigger move with that low float. If it picks up on the low float scanners, like Ross Cameron, and who else trades low floats, that it might have that momentum move, in which a lot of people get on it, but it's a little bit more pricey at $20. They prefer more than Jason Bonds, as well as another one that does the lower price stocks. So it might be one to the upside. Okay, and let's look at ARCO. All right, so ARCO, this is looking bearish, right? Every time it hits this EMA, it's pulling back, right? And it had pretty strong resistance right here around $4.90, $5, and now it's coming down here. It's found a support area from the past, maybe a continuation down further, down to 4.27, 427, 426, this moving average down here. G-Man, are you talking about the market overall? The market overall has had more shorting happen. However, I did cover it right in the beginning. We had a 20-week upward trend from December of 2019 until, or 21 weeks, excuse me, from, it's right at the beginning, for the last run-up, and now it looks like potentially we could be having a point at which, if we're studying Gann, we might have a rollover based on Gann's theories of timing in the market and astrology and all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty cool, but I'm delving more into it. But as of short squeezes and melting up in the market, yes. How far or how long it will go, I do not know. The big guys will know. Okay, so ARCO, it's coming to the downside here, in my opinion, and like I said, might find support around 426. If that doesn't happen, then it could go, you know, if it doesn't pull back, then I would look for that break above $5. Yeah, Tesla's ridiculous, but it's in relation. You see that Apple and Tesla both said reverse split, and all of a sudden they surge. So many people want to get in for that. Oh, thank you, Corey. Aw, thank you, thank you. That's awesome, Corey. Thank you so much. I'd love it if you put a comment once it's done down below. I'll go ahead and I'll pin it to the top. So I appreciate that. Okay, let's go to ADMS. ADMS, nice gap to the downside potentially. Nice one. Everything's monetizable. So we've got this gap right here that if it fills it, it might actually come and test the 200 simple moving average first. It is a pharmaceutical. I'm not a fan of pharmaceuticals. I did talk about that earlier. So it could pull back to the downside. It's below the moving averages, had a bit of consolidation right here, distribution potentially, had this run up. It could be the fake out where they look like they're going to take it down and then they take it right back up. So just be aware of that. Or it could pull back down to the $4 mark, a nice 50-cent move to the downside, 9%. And MCHP, microchip technology, interesting. Semiconductors have been doing well. Do you guys see this? I don't know. Ever since I started going to black and white, I tend to see the consolidation boxes much better. So if it can break out above this really 110 zone, then we'll have a nice big move to the upside. Otherwise, if it breaks down below $97, we'll have a further move to the downside here. But it looks like it's just been in that consolidation zone. And then when that happens, then it has the big move that follows. So in this meantime, it's trading between 97 and 107. Another one that had this happen is Micron, right? So Micron, when we go back and look at on the daily, I should still have my box there. Oh, where'd it go? Was it Micron? No, it was AMD. That's why. You can see AMD had this consolidation for about 12 weeks, and then we had that big surge to the upside. Okay, let's go CSOD. All right. Lower lows and lower highs. Oh, I wish I did a channel. Let's do this parallel channel here. So you can see it's coming in this nice downward channel. Could continue on down, test 35. If that 35 breaks, test that midline area, 34.26, and then on down, potentially down to 31.80 area, right there. All right, and ECOM, almost an upside on head and shoulders there. All right, we've have it started down here, hit the 20 simple moving average and pulled back. E-commerce, it looks like, Channel Advisor Corp. And we have this strong resistance that potentially will flip to be support. So above 19 or down below 1760, right there. And then that next test of the support of 1670. glue. And then I'll give you the other two that I was looking at, the last two, that I did some research and maybe some semiconductors that are somewhat unknown and might have a nice move. So for now, this looks very similar. It has this area where it was just going sideways, dropped below, and then hit another resistance point back here, roughly 1840. And now it's consolidating. We have this upward trend though, short upward trend right here. Is it going to respect that or not? So a bit of an ascending triangle. If it breaks it to the upside, testing 860 and then $9. And if that $9 breaks, gap fill potentially on up to 980. All right, it was MRAM, I believe. Yes, MRAM, semiconductor, potentially. Might be worth looking at if it can hold this $5, $5.20 range to the upside. Potential move there. And ATOM as well, another one that I'm looking at for potential longer term investments. All right, G-Man, I did give a shout out that everything is monetizable was going to be the last ones that I was doing. So I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to cover everything today. We've been going about, oh my goodness, 70 minutes already. So going to call it an end for today. I will see you guys tomorrow at 12:15 on my channel. Bring your stocks that you would like to see, and don't forget, on Thursday I will have Steve Gomez from Trade Ideas doing a demo. If you guys want to see that live in action, check it out. I do use it every single morning, and also for potential swing trades. All right, guys, so have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you tomorrow. Carpe Profit sees those profits one trade at a time. Bye.